Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of my channel, My Journey to Loving Me. And this is Katina. Thank you so much for joining with me today. And I hope that you had a great day. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time that you will be listening to this episode. I do appreciate you being with me as I say that time is a precious commodity. You can get more money, you can get more things and stuff, but you can't get back your time. So I do appreciate you being with me today and sharing this time together. So I just want to, as we always do as well, take some time to transition from our day or whatever we was doing before into this time of learning and growing and developing together. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths, just to just come together in our time. So let's start with the first deep breath. And the first deep breath is one. Just breathe in, breathe out. The second deep breath, breathe in, breathe out. The third deep breath, breathe in, breathe out. And now you're just going to have a few seconds of silence as we transition from whatever we were doing before, whether it's coming from work, school, chores, running errands, whatever that may be, or into our time together to learn, grow, and develop. So just a few seconds of silence before we begin. Okay, so thank you. We're going to get started. I just want to again say thank you for being with me today. Thank you for joining me and giving your time. And so I just want to talk about getting back to basics, getting back to the basics. This is something that God has been working with me on about getting back to the basics. And what I mean by that is the things that you were doing that worked for you before that you got away from that were beneficial to you and it was an advantage to you, but for some reason you got away from it. Maybe you was busy, maybe you thought it didn't work anymore, maybe you found other things that you wanted to try, but getting back to the basics. So I'm going to talk about it from a couple of different perspectives. The first one is spiritually, the spiritual basics that were beneficial to you before. So for me, getting back to basics was making sure I get up early in the morning to pray before everybody else gets up, before the traffic starts, before people in the home start moving around, before there's a lot of movement and it's quiet, to get up in the morning and pray. Also, back to basics for me is I have a lot of confessions that I make, spiritual confessions that I make, and I got away from that. Getting back to that, it's just to speak those things out so you can hear it, see it, and to get into your heart. So that way that, when tests and trials come, that word is already firmly planted inside you. You're speaking the word, you're speaking your confessions all the time, so that when challenges come, you may waver a little bit, but then that word will come out of your spirit. So that's another thing. Another thing too is writing down scriptures. I used to write down scriptures a lot, read it. I would try to memorize them. I would look up the words. I would dissect the words in the scripture, what it means, so I can apply it to my life. I used to do that a lot, and I got away from that. And I noticed that as I got away from it, how it affected me. I didn't have that foundation that I had before. Things were easily to get on my nerves or irritate me. My mind would start wandering. I would start walking in fear and being afraid and anxiety, and all those things try to come against me because I hadn't been filling myself with the word as I should have. Getting back to basics. So that's spiritually. Also, for my physical health, walking. For me, getting back to basics is doing the things I know that are good for me for my physical health, like walking. I know some people go to the gym. Well, I like to walk. I like to be outside with nature and the fresh air and just being able to see things, see people watch. I like to walk. Also, drinking lots of water. That's basic for me. That I know when I'm not drinking enough water, I thirsty. My skin gets really dry. Um, I can tell when I'm not drinking enough water. I get tired easily. Also, fresh fruits and vegetables and eating right. When I'm eating right, exercising, drinking my water, I have energy. I can have focus. I'm not feeling cloudy. So things like that. Also in relationships, getting back to basics with relationships and making sure that I, spend the quality time with people who are important to me and not, getting too busy with things that I'm doing, or maybe if I'm going through something that I start to hide and not want to be around people. But for me, getting back to basics is the things that I know are important and vital and necessary for me to be successful. So I encourage you, what are the things that maybe are the basics, back to basics for you, that maybe you got away from? Maybe you've said, I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe you've tried other things, and but that basic thing that you've done before, you know that it works. What are some things that you can do to get back to the basics of what's important to you? So, what about the things that are for your physical health? What about your mental health? What about making sure you get the proper rest and not staying up too late? Making sure that you are being careful about what you watch on TV and listening to, and even social media, not getting so consumed with those things. Getting back to basics. Like for me, I like to read. I like to listen to books on Audible, things like that. Things like that. Those are the basics for me. I like to read. So getting back to those things that energize me, that give me life, that speak to me, that are important to me. Sometimes we can get caught up with life and doing things, but I encourage us to get back to the basics of the things that we know that work for us physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, even financially. Like some of us are really good at budgeting and things like that. And sometimes we get really busy with those things. And I used to be really good at cutting coupons back in the day when that was really like, um, beneficial. And so getting back to the basics of what is important to you, the things that are necessary and vital for your success. So I encourage you again, as I'm wrapping up, what are the things that you know that you need to get back to the basics on with your health, spiritually, in relationships, financially, your eating habits? What are some of the things that you know that you need to get back to the basics on? And what are your plans to be a better human to yourself? So for me, getting back to the basics of drinking my water. So if it means I like different water bottles. Getting me a water bottle I think is cute. That's going to inspire me to take it with me and drink my water. I like to walk. So during my lunch breaks, going outside and walk, and getting fresh air and getting away from my desk. With eating, having a meal plan for myself and getting various things I can choose from to encourage me to eat better. Even with reading, Even they have different things you can do now. They have Audible, so I can listen to books. I can spend, have 24 hours in a day. That means taking a one chapter a day and reading it and just really getting to that book, getting back to the basics of what's important to me and what works for me and what fills my cup. So, as I end, I just encourage you to, just evaluate and do an assessment about those things that you know are that works, so to speak, and get back to those basics so that you can sustain yourself and maintain yourself, and that you don't burn yourself out. Sometimes, like, we will try different things, but then we go back to that same thing we know is true. So as I end, thank you so much for being with me today. And just in summary, we talked about getting back to the basics of things that you know are true to you, that works and that are beneficial to you, and that are healthy, good, healthy habits, good, healthy coping skills, things that you can do that fills you up and that are healthy for you. So in your eating, your mental and emotional health, your physical health, your financial health, your relationship health, even professionally, what are the things that you know are back to basics for you? So put the comments in and tell me what you think. Thank you so much for being with me today. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you soon. And remember, you are important and your mental health is important too. Have a great day. Be blessed.